Okay, so hello everyone. This is our second collaborative meeting and we'll be discussing about chapter 3. So for chapter 3, we'll be doing an external analysis for the company. Chapter 3 includes three main parts, which are A, the general environment, which includes the PESTEL framework, B, the industry and competitor analysis, and C, the summary and conclusion. For part A, Shane and I will be doing this. For part B, Marie-Chris and Marian, and Clyde for part C. To start off, we'll be doing the external analysis, right? So maybe we could talk about what it is, like what its definition is. So external analysis means examining the industry environment of a company, including factors such as competitive structure, competitive position, dynamics, and history. On a macro scale, external analysis includes macroeconomic, global, political, and legal, social, demographic, and technological analysis. The primary purpose of external analysis is to determine the opportunities and threats in an industry or any segment that will drive profitability, growth, and volatility. Part A of this chapter will be about the PESTEL analysis. So PESTEL analysis is an acronym for a tool used to identify the macro or external forces facing an organization. The letters stand for political, economic, social or sociocultural, technological, environmental, and legal. So in marketing, before any kind of strategy or tactical plan can be implemented, it is fundamental to conduct a full situational analysis. So organizations that successfully monitor and respond to changes in the macro environment can differentiate from the competition, thus having a competitive advantage over others. So the framework is also used to identify potential threats and weaknesses, which are used in the SWOT analysis. So for PESTEL, I'll be talking about the political and economic and social factors. So political factors, these determine the extent to which government and government policies impact on an organization or a specific industry. So this would include political policies and stability, as well as trade, fiscal, and taxation policies too. For economic factors, they have a direct impact on the economy and its performance, which in turn directly impacts on the organization and its profitability. Factors include interest rates, employment or unemployment rates, raw material costs, and foreign exchange rates as well. So next, for the social factors, the focus here is on the social environment and identifying emerging trends. This helps a marketer to further understand consumer needs and wants in a social setting. So social factors would include changing family demographics, education levels, cultural trends, attitude changes, and changes in lifestyle.
Okay, so for my part, I will be discussing the technology aspect. So as technology continues to advance, Porsche must also continue to adapt to these advances to research and plan out their next steps in order to catch on to future technological trends and ensure the company's future as well. So in this part, we'll be explaining how the progress of technology may affect Porsche and its impact on the industry as a whole. For ecological aspects, one of the major trends that businesses take on today is sustainability and effort to corporate social responsibility. Now, Porsche needs to thoroughly comprehend environmental issues if it wants to avoid legal troubles and damage to its market brand. So in this part, we'll discuss the many different ecological problems that may affect Porsche and discuss how the company might adapt to these ecological changes. This is where we discuss how and what they need to do to enhance its brand sustainability reputation. Lastly, for the legal aspects, Porsche is a well-known luxury sports car manufacturer in the world. So the administrator's sincerity and propensity to participate in pollution displays, since the consequences might lead to potential charges or expulsions of high-level government officials. So in this part, we'll discuss what Porsche must anticipate for and how they might counter these legal aspects.
All right, thanks for that, Shane. So next part would be part B, which will be done by Marian and Marcus, right? So take it away.
Hello, can I be heard here? Ah?
Yes, yes, boss.
Oh, okay. Okay, so for B, we will be talking about the industry and competitor analysis. So to give an update, we're already halfway through. We're currently working on the competitor analysis. So I will be sharing with you some of the information that we have compiled. So for the industry analysis, we have the Porter's 5 forces. We will begin with the rivalry among existing competitors. So there are several companies in the industry Porsche operates in. A list of these brands are listed in our Google Docs. There are a lot. Just to name a few, we have Aston Martin, we have Audi, Bentley, Porsche, Lexus, and many others. So the competitors have a similar size and power. According to Allied Analytics, the global market for luxury cars earned $495.7 billion in revenue in 2018 and is projected to generate $700 billion by 2026. With that, they have a CAGR of 5.2%. And this implies that the luxury car industry has a good annual growth and is anticipated to do so for the foreseeable future. To summarize this, we have our conclusion in this force. Rivalry is high when there are many competitors, and when competitors have a similar size and power, there is slow industry growth, there is not much differentiation, and the exit barriers are high. So from the analysis and data we have provided, it can be concluded that the rivalry among existing competitors is high. And that's because out of the 5 factors that describe high rivalry, the luxury automotive industry checks out 3 of these factors. The luxury automotive industry has many competitors. The competitors have a similar size and power, and there are high exit barriers. So next is the threat of new entrants. The automotive industry has high entry barriers. And we have concluded that the threat of new entrants of the automotive industry is weak. That is because for the luxury automotive industry, the barriers to entry include the need for economies of scale, high customer loyalty for existing brands, large capital requirements, the need for cumulative experience, the government policies, and the limited access to distribution channels. Next would be the threat of substitutes. So for the luxury automotive industry, there are other alternatives such as other types of cars or other alternatives for transportation like bicycles, motorbikes, trains, and buses. However, not all of these substitutes can offer the same level of accessibility and convenience than that of having your own car. Especially for the luxury automotive industry, customers for these brands own luxury cars for convenience, privilege, and status. In conclusion, although there are several substitute products and means of transportation for luxury vehicles, the buyer's willingness to substitute their luxury car for alternatives are low. That is because for the wealthy, owning a luxury car is a must-have. Luxury cars are a status symbol. They are purchased to satisfy needs beyond transportation. Luxury car purchases are made by wealthy people as a form of self-expression and to satiate their desire for a sense of accomplishment, success, and status. Next is the bargaining power of suppliers. Since suppliers are numerous and frequently small to medium-sized businesses, and only a few are significant in size, the power dynamic between suppliers and automakers in the automotive industry is typically skewed in favor of the automotive industry. The luxury automotive companies have a lot of suppliers. There are also several available quality substitutes. Additionally, with globalization, these companies are even able to source their supplies from various countries and have wide accessibility. However, we also consider that there are some limited, unique, or exclusive products or supplies that luxury brands need, thus leading to higher switching costs. With that, we conclude that the luxury or high-end car companies' bargaining power of suppliers fall between moderately low to moderate. That is because, on the other hand, low-end or medium-end car companies would have lower bargaining power of suppliers than that of luxury car companies. Next is the bargaining power of buyers. So we have concluded that the luxury automotive industry has a high bargaining power of buyers. The customers have a lot of power because there aren't many of them and that they have many alternative companies to buy from. Customers who shop for luxury automobiles would want to look for the best car they can buy. They have what is referred to as bargaining power, allowing them to demand better quality products and set prices. Customers have the power to impact how businesses compete for market share. They have an advantage of controlling both pricing and quality. So next, for our competitor analysis, we have already started with this. However, we need to add more information. So the three competitors we chose would be BMW, Mercedes, and Audi. So for BMW, their revenue size in 2021, BMW was able to have a revenue of 111.2 billion euros. And for their financial health, the German automaker reported that its revenue and net profit hit all-time highs in 2021. BMW claimed its full year net profit was able to jump to 12.46 billion euros. For their strategies, as what was listed in their website, they include the representation of status and achievement, the effective design and features integrated to each model of the brand, and the competitive post-sales service. Next, for Mercedes, for their revenue size, the revenue they had in 2021 amounted to 133.9 billion euros. For their financial health, in 2021, good product mix, solid net pricing, continued cost discipline, and favorable used car performance lifted the adjusted return on sales for the company to 12.7% in the full year. For their market share, most important markets of the company were China and Europe. For their strategies, as what was stated in their website, the 6 pillars of the new Mercedes-Benz strategy would include think and act like a luxury brand, focus on profitable growth, expand customer base by growing sub-brands, embrace customers and grow recurrent revenues, lead in electric drive and car software. Lastly, for Audi, their revenue size is 53 billion euros. For their financial health, their operating profit reached 5.5 billion euros. And for their market share, most of their sales were in Europe, which amounted to 617 and 48. Audi is exerting its transformation starting in 2026 to the global market. Next, Marie-Chris will be sharing her input on the industry and competitor analysis.
So for the industry and competitor analysis, I researched about how Porsche deals with competition and how they continue to improve in order to maintain their stand as a top auto company. Porsche has improved its technical skills, allowing it to launch dynamic products that appeal to a variety of client categories. The company has a devoted following of customers, which is an additional and essential strength. Porsche's modest size and specialized markets serve as its primary competitive advantages. However, the organization's business strategy has changed as a result of internal and external environmental factors. This is due to the fact that globalization has allowed buyers to have more options when choosing vehicles by deregulating international markets. With its wide range of target markets and model offerings, the corporation must compete with other automotive powerhouses, which include BMW, Lamborghini, Ferrari, and others. The target market of the company shines as a result of the coming European recession and the ongoing worldwide crisis. The company's future might be in danger if this trend continues, and Porsche is a brand that has long produced high-end sports vehicles. It has a tight relationship with Volkswagen Company and has long provided Volkswagen with elegant engineering and design choices. Nevertheless, the business competes fiercely in its industry. It has a rather consistent financial performance. However, it is anticipated that the corporation may have fresh difficulties in the future. Consequently, it would need to alter its communication and marketing plan. And then Porsche's research and development department continues to be one of its main competitive advantages. Other organizations frequently make use of their research. It has been able to target specialized markets with efficiency and effectiveness because of its engineering expertise. Porsche has also been successful in upholding high standards of quality. The company has a promising future, but it must expand its product range and enter new markets. This is a result of how fiercely competitive the global car business is. Porsche must penetrate the newly emerging economies like Brazil, India, China, and Russia. These markets have the highest level of demand with respect to vehicles. Non-sports cars will be the main products that will be delivered by the organization in these markets, while high-performance cars with fuel efficiency are being developed as a means of ensuring effectiveness. Porsche must continue to focus on its key competitive advantages as a means of ensuring that its key targets can be achieved within a short period of time. The development of a comprehensive strategy is critical for success in the long term.
All right, thanks for that, Mary Chris. So that was part B, right? So now we'll talk about part C, which is the summary and conclusion. So Clyde, you have any updates?
Yep. So initially for the summary and conclusion, we were tasked to use the results of the general environment and industry analyses to and identify and summarize the major opportunities and threats. So we identified five of each for the opportunities and threats. Namely, the first major opportunity is Porsche's expansion to other countries or market demographics. Porsche must use this chance soon or in the near future to broaden their consumer base or market. Production may be outsourced to China, Southeast Asia, or other nations for improved results since Porsche offers target-based products. For the second opportunity, we have development of new SUVs and electric cars. Since the selection of automobiles for the middle class base is so limited, increasing the variety of cars may be an alternative when considering taking on new chances. As a result, the consumer base will also grow as more automobiles in that price range price range are produced. Additionally, Porsche has seen significant sales growth in their SUV models, as well as in the introduction of electric cars. Porsche can leverage this and take advantage of growing demand for SUVs and eco-friendly motor vehicles, such as their electric car offerings. So I think this is a very important opportunity for Porsche because they've already started to take advantage of this with the introduction of the Porsche Taycan, which is a fully electric car. I think that this holds a lot of weight as an opportunity because as the world develops, the demand for electric cars, we have seen a growth in demand for electric cars with companies such as Tesla and Lucid Motors rising. And I think Porsche should take the opportunity to introduce more fully electric vehicles like the Taycan and expand their range. So for their third opportunity, we have development of new systems and practices. Porsche Volkswagen is able to create new processes and procedures for finance and accounting sector by utilizing technologies like artificial intelligence automation, real-time tracking of goods and vehicles, 3D modeling for idea creation, and new product pilot testing. The fourth opportunity is Porsche's manufacturing and distribution. The market's development coincides with the industry sector because as the manufacturing base grows, it becomes simpler to supply goods to a larger population and geographic region. In addition to that, Porsche has prided themselves on quality manufacturing and global distribution. If they choose to capitalize on this and continue with the great effort their ongoing manufacturing and distribution practices, they will see major growth both within the industry and within the company itself. And the fifth opportunity is competitive advantage by utilizing data analytics. Porsche Volkswagen has put in a lot of time and money to incorporate analytics and machine learnings into their business practices. As demonstrated in the Harvard case study Hedging at Porsche, this ongoing investment in analytics has made it possible to use analytics to create competitive edge. Porsche Volkswagen can decide speedier go-to-market strategies, greater customer insights, relevant product features, and highly effective supply chain with the assistance of analytic-driven competitive edge. So those are our five opportunities. For our major threats, the first one we have is challenges in government policies, regulatory challenges. So, government regulations in several nations may result in a ban on the sale of operation of Porsche cars. The preferable course of action for the organization is to address their difficulties as they manage the policies. Porsche Volkswagen must be ready for regulatory challenges because consumer protection organizations and other pressure groups are vehemently pushing for more regulations on big business in order to eliminate inequality, protect consumer privacy, and personal information privacy, reduce the influence of big money on demographic institutions, create a level playing field, and other goals. The second major threat is new and existing competition. Porsche Automobile Holdings SE continues to lead the sector in terms of product innovation. Despite this, it is up against tough competition from both domestic and foreign rivals. They need to provide far better items to their current consumer base due to the rising market rivalry and the fact that there are a number of luxury car manufacturers in the industry offering similar products. So I think this is a very this threat is a big threat to Porsche because recently their competitor of theirs, which namely Ferrari, has introduced a brand new SUV, which is their first SUV that Ferrari has ever offered. And I think that this will greatly affect Porsche because not only Porsche, but their other competitors as well because um, uh, Ferrari is a sports car brand that is very passionate and um, they they haven't ever introduced an SUV until now, which is a big shift because we're able to see a change in the market share for SUVs as Ferrari is a very prestigious brand. I'm pretty sure their new SUV will be able to compete with the likes of Porsche's Cayenne and Macan SUVs. Their third threat is the technological learning curve for new practices. Porsche Volkswagen may see a steeper learning curve for the training and development of current employees as a result of the increasing complexity of technology based on the artificial intelligence and machine learning platforms. Their fourth threat is the environmental challenges. Porsche Volkswagen must have a solid plan in place to deal with the interruptions brought on by energy and climate change. Climate change is one of the biggest challenges that that companies face. Green technology is crucial priority sector for the EU, which is investing 30% of its 880 billion euro post-COVID recovery fund in it, which in turn will introduce new competition to the company. I think this is also a very big threat because the EU is known to be a big regulator when it comes to climate change, and I'm pretty sure that within the next decade we'll be seeing regulations in not only production but the type of cars that um, that manufacturers in the EU are able to produce, I think likely they will have a bigger lean and shift towards eco-friendly and electric vehicles, which would create a big shift in the market. And I think Porsche should be able to react quickly to this, as they've already introduced their first fully electric vehicle, and hopefully they will be able to take advantage of that and produce more products in the future to be able to react to that threat. And lastly, we have the fifth threat, which is consumer lifestyle changes. As consumer preferences shift, businesses are under pressure to adapt their offerings to keep up with the shifting consumer demands. Long-term social cultural influences frequently have an impact on commercial firm success. With with a constantly evolving culture, new needs are generated and outdated ones eventually disappear. In order to satisfy the needs and demands of the target market, essential modifications must be made to Porsche's strategies and policies. So, the second part of the summary and conclusions was to use the external factor evaluation matrix tool to assess how well the company is. So, we will be using those same 5 opportunities and 5 threats um, in the matrix, which will be finished, which is yet to be finished. And from there, we will be using those results to draw up the conclusion about the industry's overall prospects and industry attractiveness.
All right. Thanks for that, Clyde. And I just want to add a bit in regards to the EFE matrix, since we're still about to do that. I want to share my screen. All right, give me a sec. So, can you guys see my screen? All right. So I was researching about the EFE, and I looked up the steps in creating the EFE. So I just want to read what the EFE matrix is. So the external factor evaluation matrix is a strategic analysis tool used to evaluate a firm's external environment and to reveal its strengths as well as weaknesses. The EFE matrix indicates whether the firm is able to effectively take advantage of existing opportunities along with minimizing the external threats. Similarly, it will help the strategists to formulate new strategies and policies on the basis of the existing position of the company. So there are several steps in making the the EFE matrix. So the first step would be to list the key external factors as identified in the external audit process. We should include a total of from 10 to 20 factors. In our case, we have 10 factors since there are 5 opportunities and 5 threats. We should list both the opportunities and threats affecting the firm and its industry. So we should be specific as possible, using percentages, ratios, and comparative numbers whenever possible. So we should also, the next step would be to assign each factor a weight that ranges from 0.0, which is not important, to 1. So the highest would be number 1, which is very important. The weight indicates the relative importance of that factor to being successful in the firm's industry. Opportunities often receive higher weights than threats, but threats too can receive high weights if they are especially severe or threatening. Appropriate weights can be determined by comparing successful with unsuccessful competitors or by discussing the factor and reaching a group consensus. The sum of all weights assigned to the factors must equal 1.0. So I think this kind of answers to this answers Clyde's question earlier, like in the group chat. Like he was asking whether it's subjective, like the weights. So it says here, weights can be determined by comparing successful with unsuccessful competitors or by discussing the factor and reaching a group consensus. So it's not really kind of subjective, but I think we gotta focus on the facts, and the research will make afterwards with the competitors. And next step would be to assign 1 to 4 to each key external factor to indicate how effectively the firm's current strategies respond to the factor. Or 4, the response is superior. 3, the response is above average. 2, the response is average. And 1, the response is poor. Ratings are based on effectiveness of the firm's strategies, and ratings are thus company-based, whereas the weights in step 2 are industry-based. All right. It is important to note that both threats and opportunities can receive a 1, 2, 3, or 4 rating. So in order to find the weighted score, we multiply each factor's weight by its rating. And lastly, the sum we add the weighted scores for each variable to determine the total weighted score for the organization. All right, so those are the things that I've researched for the EFE matrix. So yeah. Does
Alright,
anyone want to add anything?
I think that makes it more understandable regarding the EFE matrix. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So yeah, so in conclusion, we're kind of halfway through, maybe 50 to 60% finished with chapter 3. Yeah, so if we have any inquiries or if we need any help, we can just use our group chat, talk to each other, and the like. Yeah, so I think that concludes our meeting. So thank you guys for joining the meeting, and
Thank
good
you.
luck to us. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye. Thank you.